everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Copper Jacket TV. So I don't think it's any big surprise that California politicians have an absolute disdain for the Second Amendment. They treat it like it's some bad company policy that they don't like and so they want to change, rather than the constitutionally protected right that it actually is. Every single year, they come out with new laws that infringe on that specific right. And every time they defend it in court, they say that what they're doing is perfectly constitutional. Now what they're saying is, and you're not going to believe this because this is low even for California, is that you do not have a constitutional right to acquire arms. That is not covered by the text of the Second Amendment. And if you don't believe that, I mean, just take a look at California's SB 2, where even the Supreme Court said that people have a right to carry outside the home for their own defense. What did California do? Well, California said, okay, that's fine. We'll change one specific rule there, but we're going to make it so that once you do get your permit, so you can carry to defend yourself, you won't be able to effectively use it absolutely anywhere. Now, speaking of concealed carry, one of the worst things that you could do is actually leave the house unarmed. And one of the biggest reasons that people do that is because the holster that they have is uncomfortable. That's why today's video is brought to you by Vanish holsters. Vanish holsters are honestly one of the most comfortable holsters that you will ever use. Now, the reason it's so comfortable is because the back of the Vanish holster is a material that feels just like silk. It's extremely smooth. It doesn't absorb any moisture. It doesn't get sticky, so it's going to feel real nice against your body. And with this having its own belt, you don't have to worry about what you're wearing. Not only is the back made out of very comfortable material, but the front is made out of very tough material. This is 1000 denier Cordura nylon. Now, as you can see here, I'm wearing gym shorts with no belt and a weak elastic waistband, and I'm still able to securely carry appendix. I can carry strong sides, small of the back. I don't have to worry about having a heavy belt on or anything like that. This Vanish holster is extremely comfortable and it gets the job done. Now, you're definitely going to want to pay attention to this part because this is the biggest giveaway I've ever announced on this channel. Vanish is giving one of you this $80,000 custom Rocky Ridge Silverado for free. To enter, all you have to do is click the link in the description and get yourself the most comfortable holster you've ever worn. They have a money-back guarantee, and Vanish is hooking you up. They're knocking $50 off the retail price for anybody who buys using my special link down below. Get an exclusive discount and extra entries when you use my link. Don't wait because this giveaway ends pretty soon, June 3rd. So what we're talking about today is an update in the case of Ngyuen v. Bonta, which is an FPC case that is challenging California's one gun a month law, basically a 1 in 30, or what they call the OGM law. That OGM law says that you can acquire one every 30 days. So you get one, and then your rights are gone after that. You do not have your Second Amendment rights anymore until that 30-day time period is up. So it's basically a Second Amendment prohibition for an entire month each and every time. So if you get one and then you have a 30-day prohibition, you get to have another one because they said so, and then it's a 30-day prohibition after that. Well, in their arguments, believe it or not, California did say that it's not covered by the plain text of the Second Amendment, and even if it was covered by the plain text of the Second Amendment, just assuming again that that's actually implicated, that they have enough historical analogs to prove that what they're doing is completely constitutional and lawful. Let me read you guys some of this stuff from this case, which, by the way, is moving forward very, very quickly. Oral arguments and everything has been expedited, and we actually could find out whether or not an injunction that was placed by a district court judge, which was then stayed under an emergency stay by the Ninth Circuit, could eventually be overturned. We could see the OGM law be overturned in the next couple months. So just wanted to give you that quick update. That could be absolutely huge in California, and we're watching that one closely. But again, let's take a look at this. So let me start off by showing you part of the introduction, which will give you kind of an idea of what this lawsuit, Ngyuen v. Bonta, is all about, and also tell you how long the plaintiffs, and by extension, everybody in California, has been waiting for relief in this matter. So it says, introduction. This action against California's one gun per month, or OGM law as it's colloquially known, has been pending for almost 4 years. Since then, plaintiffs have been waiting for relief from the law's purchase ban that unconstitutionally prohibits them from purchasing multiple firearms in a 30-day period. The relief finally came in March. That's when the district court granted an injunction of this year, when the district court issued its opinion granting summary judgment for the plaintiffs, holding that the OGM law is unconstitutional and must be enjoined. Now, if you guys remember, after that, California asked for an emergency stay against that appeal. Now, obviously, they got it from the Ninth Circuit. That's no huge surprise. But we did have a very interesting dissent, and this dissent was very powerful. So this dissent came from Judge Nelson, where he writes, "I agree to expedite this appeal." Like I said, this is all kind of moving fast, and we could actually have a decision fairly soon here. So again, I agree to expedite this appeal. I would deny the stay pending appeal because defendants are not likely to prevail on the merits. When the Second Amendment's plain text covers an individual's conduct, the Constitution presumptively protects that conduct, and it cites the NYSRPA. As the district court properly concluded, the right to buy a firearm is covered by the plain text of the Second Amendment. Moreover, under Bruin, no historical analog permits California's regulation. California points mainly to historical regulations on the sale, storage, and transport of gunpowder. The same analogs California cites to support all of its numerous gun restrictions. As the district court properly found, these are not sufficiently close analogs under Bruin, and the district court did not abuse its discretion in finding that the equitable factors do not warrant an injunction where plaintiff's Second Amendment rights are violated. I respectfully dissent. So that was, again, a very, very powerful dissent from Judge Nelson. Okay, so now we get to the argument. This is where California is basically saying that this is not protected by the plain text of the Second Amendment, and even if it was, these historical analogs work perfect. That's what the state is saying, that they're allowed to prohibit your rights for 30 days at a time. So it says, the gist of the state's argument remains the same as it was below. The proposed conduct, ordinary law-abiding citizens purchasing from licensed dealers more than one handgun or semi-automatic centerfire rifle in a 30-day period for self-defense and other lawful purposes, is subject to constitutional prohibition under the OGM law because this conduct is not covered under the plain text of the Second Amendment. A prohibition of this conduct is presumptively lawful regulatory measure that California may adopt consistent with the Second Amendment, and they even cite Heller. Now, this is where it says, even if. So again, it continues, even if the court were to hold or assume that the challenged law covers conduct presumptively protected by the Second Amendment, the law is consistent with the historical tradition of firearm regulation, and they cite Bruin again. Now, I don't know about you, but safe storage of powder doesn't seem like a very close historical analog for upholding a ban on a constitutional right. But that's what California seems to think. If you can have one law that infringed on somebody's constitutional rights, or maybe did for a short time, then that means that every law that California passes, every law that currently exists in California, should be constitutional. They're using that for just about everything. But again, you saw it there. That's what California thinks of your constitutional right. They think that the mere acquisition, which is the only way that you can actually practice the right itself, is not protected by the plain text of the Second Amendment. If that particular conduct isn't protected by the plain text of the Second Amendment, then that would also mean that under the First Amendment, there would be no right to get a book, see a book, view a book. There wouldn't be a right to read a book because you wouldn't be able to acquire it because that wouldn't be protected by the First Amendment. But they're not going to do that, of course, no, because they treat this amendment like it's somehow different. But just the fact that California has finally come out and said that, right? That the main act that allows you to practice your right is not protected by that same right is absolutely astonishing to me. So if you ever wanted to know how far they're willing to go and how they actually think, and their deep-seated hatred for that right, that should show you right there. California is trying to uphold absolutely everything by using the same exact arguments over and over again, And somehow, even after Bruin says that you have to find a historical analog that is directly relevant to the existing law today, they still somehow think that these weird off-brand ones somehow fit. As a matter of fact, there is nothing that is analogous going back into history. The only thing that California really cites that is of any relevance whatsoever actually came from the 1970s. We're talking about something that is of recent history, where that was pretty much strictly forbidden in Bruin, where Bruin said that you have to go back basically to the founding of our country and look at the laws that existed and the traditions that existed at the founding of our country and the ratification of that right in 1791. You have to go back that far and look. But no, California, the only direct historical analog that they can find is history from the 1970s. That should tell you something right there about California and their argument. So we're going to find out very soon, as early as August, and hopefully we will get this whole thing overturned, and we'll get the stay lifted, and we'll get the summary judgment back in place, and the injunction, they won't be able to enforce it anymore, and California will finally be put in its place, and you know, this can't be allowed to go forward. But again, it's the Ninth Circuit, so the option to go up to the Supreme Court is always going to be an option, because they will find whatever, you know, loophole they can, or whatever phrase or words that they can twist to side with the state of California. That's just what the Ninth Circuit does. So still, it doesn't matter. We're going to be following this one very closely to see what happens, even if it does have to go up to the Supreme Court. There is no way that the Supreme Court, if they decided to take this case, could look at this and say that it doesn't violate people's constitutional rights. It's not doable. Heller, it's not doable under Bruin. It's just not doable legally. So anyway, I wanted to let you guys know what's going on there, what California said, and really just expose them for how bad they actually are. Thank you all again for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please like, subscribe. Have a great day.